Good afternoon and welcome to H360 Live. My name is Courtland Long and I'm joined here in the studio today by my friend and colleague from Healthy360, Dave Duplay. How are you, Dave?
Courtland, I'm doing fantastic.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I am. Do you want to know why?
Of course.
Okay. Well, it's Thanksgiving week, right? 2 more days, we're going to have Thanksgiving. And it's a time where I really reflect back on the past year and I think about what I'm thankful for. And so obviously, our viewers are top of the list, right?
Yes. Yeah.
The show and what we've built here at Healthy360, my team, and of course you. I'm thankful for you that you sit and tolerate me every week after week here on the set.
Oh, I'm thankful for you too, Dave.
Well, thank you. So it's going to be a good Thanksgiving, and I always try to give back by working at a soup kitchen or donate my time somewhere to homeless shelter here in New York City over the Thanksgiving holiday. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's a very special time of year for me.
Absolutely. Well, you have a very generous Thanksgiving ritual that you do, and I'm sure that everyone you're helping is very thankful as well. And you know, I know that Thanksgiving is one of the busiest travel times of the year, so we hope that everybody who's traveling this week is safe and healthy.
Yeah, for sure. You know, we have a great show for you this afternoon. Coming back into the studio for her second visit is Susan Weiner, and we are going to talk about her new book. It's really chock full of great information. It's right here, as you can see, Diabetes 365, Tips for Living Well. And Courtland, you know, this book is really a great book because it's got a lot of helpful tips that you can implement today. They're short, they're not overly complicated, but most importantly, they really hit the mark. And this is just a fantastic book. I can't wait till she comes in and we talk to her about this.
Yeah, it's a really great book, and what's probably one of my favorite things about it is that you don't have to start right from page 1, from the beginning. You know, it's literally a tip for every single day. It's broken out month and day by day, so you can pick it up in the beginning or at the end, you know, depending on where you are in the calendar. So it's awesome.
Absolutely. And you know, a lot of these health books that we read, they're really hard to get through. But I really like the way it's organized. It's bite-sized little tips, and it's just perfect for me. And it's something I can put to use every day.
Right.
Well, before she gets in here, you know what we do every week?
Health tips.
Health tips, absolutely. And this week is no exception. So we're going to talk about exercise, and not about going to the gym, and not about, you know, putting on sneakers and going out and running a couple of miles, but we're going to talk about it, health tips, exercising without noticing that you're really exercising.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so there's some tips that we have that I think our viewers at home are going to find interesting. In fact, when we decided to do this, I've really kind of taken it to heart, and I'm doing some of these in my personal life at home. So I can't wait to share what I'm doing when we talk about them.
Oh, I'm very interested to hear. And these tips are great, and I think they're very applicable to the book as well, especially this first tip, which is do maintenance work. So whether you get out there and wash your car, or you tend to your garden, even shoveling snow, can all be great forms of exercise. Of course, try to do this safely, pay attention to your heart rate and everything, but there is a tip in the book about raking the leaves in your yard and how that is exercise.
Yeah, I want to emphasize that, you know, shoveling the snow can be very difficult, so you've got to really be careful. Take your time when you're out shoveling. The snow is heavy. You're going to be using muscles you haven't used for a while, so be really careful here and take a lot of breaks. Go in and have some hot cocoa occasionally, and take your time doing it. That's how I approach snow shoveling. But you know, Mr. Miyagi was absolutely right. You know, wax on, wax off, that whole thing.
Yes.
Right. So he had the Karate Kid out there waxing the car, and the kid didn't even know he was really exercising and building muscles that he was going to need in that famous scene where he's got the competition for the Karate Kid. Love it.
But I'll bet he's feeling it the next day, you know, in the shoulders and the biceps.
Yeah, I think so. Probably. You know, wax on, wax off, too much of that. You know, you got to take a break every now and then. Yeah. Okay, so here's the second one. Play with your kids. If you don't have children, you can play with your pets. Get out, throw the ball around for that dog. Take your child out for a bike ride. You know, do something fun. You're going to get out. You're going to exercise. You're going to get vitamin D. You're going to get fresh air, right?
Yes.
And so I think it's important. Now, Courtland, I know you don't have a dog, but you have a cat, Tink,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
I've seen pictures of Tink staring at your fish tank, wondering, you know, if she should jump in and grab that fish or not.
Right.
But would you ever take Tink to the park and maybe throw a little ball around or get a little exercise?
I don't think I would do that, and not necessarily because I don't think Tink would participate, but I live across the street from a park, and there's always a lot of dogs in the park, and so I wouldn't really want to mix those two together.
Got to be careful on that.
Yes, you
right?
do.
So again, the tip now, also, if you're going outside, even though it's the fall and winter season right now, what do we always say?
Wear that sunscreen.
Wear sunscreen. Yeah, absolutely. And there's a couple body parts that everyone always forgets.
Yes.
Courtland, what are those?
And they're really important because you don't want to burn these. It is your eyelids, your lips, your ears, and your hands. Don't forget about the hands.
Yeah, so all those, especially the lips. I am a big Nivea fan, and I buy it with the PSF 30.
Yeah.
And I put that on, and it protects my lips in the sun, and so I'm good to go. But the eyelids, you've got to watch that one as well.
Yes, you do. And be sure to get a sweat-resistant sunscreen so that it doesn't get into your eyes.
Absolutely. I think we have one more.
Yes, the third tip is to engage in the right hobbies. Now, these hobbies are things that are really going to get you moving, and they're really positive. So taking some dancing lessons or martial arts, participating in a drumming class, those are all really great ways to get moving, get exercising. Even some of these video game consoles out there today have some fitness components to them as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. The Wii and the PlayStation, the one thing I really like is the Tiger Woods golf, right? So you stand in front of your 60-inch plasma TV. Now, I don't have the 60-inch, but it's, so if you had one, you could stand in front of there. It could be snowing, blizzard out, and you could be playing Pebble Beach, and you get some exercise in. I think they have tennis, they have bowling.
Yeah.
So it's for the indoors, getting out, working out, really exercising. So the game stations and those consoles have really come a long way from Space Invaders and things that we had when I was a child growing up.
Yeah, some of them even have yoga too, which is great.
Wow, awesome. Yeah. So, every week we send our interns out on the streets of New York to see just what New Yorkers know about some of these health tips. And I think we've got a great video here. Courtland, would you watch it with me?
I would love to.
Absolutely. Matthew, please roll the video.
Do you enjoy maintenance work such as cleaning your garden or even cleaning your house?
Yeah, I do, I guess. I mean, I clean fairly often. I like to have a tidy space, so,
Yes, I do.
Yeah, it's okay. Do you think that doing maintenance work can be a workout to some sort of degree?
I think it can be, especially if you're short. A lot of reaching involved.
I think so. I mean, I guess I'm burning some calories as I'm folding sheets and things like that, so.
Yeah, because you're moving around and you're scrubbing. Sometimes I start to feel my heart beat faster.
Do you think that kids are getting enough exercise these days?
I mean, I guess it depends on the kid, but I really don't think so. In high school, I was sedentary for most of the day and doing way too much homework, so I wasn't getting a lot of general exercise in during the day at all.
From what I see, no, I don't think so. Because they're always watching TV on tablets, on the computer, not really doing a lot of movement, playing video games, etc.
I think some of them are definitely not, and definitely some of them are. I do parkour, and there's a kids class that we have, and it's amazing, and it's play, and it's hard, and I wish more kids
Got involved.
had the opportunity to do that. Yeah.
Do you think that video games that require physical activity are effective?
Yeah, well, they're better than just sitting down with a remote control, but I think that to some extent it's good, because the dance ones and everything, it gets you moving. So yeah, I think those are better than nothing.
Yeah, I do. I think that now that video games have become so popular, I mean, I love them. Any game that incorporates some physical activity is going to be helpful in some way. It's better than just sitting.
Do you think that video games that require physical activity are effective?
Sure. I mean, if it's something that kids enjoy and that they're having fun doing it and getting some exercise, then I'm all for it.
Courtland, what What do you think?
Oh, that was a great video. You know, a lot of the people really took into account doing the maintenance work for exercise, and I think that's great. You know, you put some music on, you can really get in the groove.
Yeah, the one girl, she's talking about, you know, how she's always cleaning her apartment,
Mm-hmm.
keeping her space clean, using that, you know, to put, as you say, the music on and
Yeah.
do some house cleaning. So I think all the way around, I think we had a good set of comments there.
We did, but my favorite one was
Yes.
the woman talking about parkour. And how
Yes.
she does, that was fantastic. I wonder if she like actually does it around in the city or if she goes to a course.
Maybe, you never know, right?
Mm-hmm.
You think she goes to a course?
She might. I mean, she teaches an actual class.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay, I must have missed that part. But yeah, I mean, you know, all of the comments were pretty spot on, right?
yeah.
And as we always comment, I think New Yorkers, because we walk so much, are pretty healthy in general and
Yeah.
health conscious. So the interns did a great job. Our friends in New York always coming through with great comments for our videos. So if you like that, hashtag, what is our hashtag
Real
here?
stories.
Real stories. It escaped me there for a second. Real stories. I was going to say real people because these people from New York are real people.
Yeah.
But it's hashtag real stories. So Courtland, you know, as Susan makes her way into the studio, I want to give everybody just a little bit of her background. She is the author of The Complete Diabetes Organizer. We talked about that when she was here before. She's going to be talking about her second book. She's earned her master's degree in applied physiology and nutrition from Columbia University. She's also a certified diabetes educator. She's written this new book, 365 Tips for Living Well. Susan, welcome to the show once again.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be back here today. Thank you so much for having me on this Thanksgiving week.
Yeah.
It's so great to see you.
Thanks.
And you know, we have a lot of material to cover with you. You've got
Yes.
2 books out. We really want to talk about your new one. But first, can you give us a quick recap of the Complete Diabetes Organizer?
Of course. So diabetes organization has been a passion of mine for many years. I've been a registered dietitian and nutritionist and a certified diabetes educator in private practice for 27 years. It seems like a long time. But over that time in educating people with diabetes, I realized how overwhelming and bombarding the information can be about having diabetes. So I put together this book with my co-author Leslie Josell to help people get organized with their supplies and their morning routine, their afternoon routine, and the holidays, which we're approaching right now as well, and even exercising. Just to comment on your discussion before, because it was so engaging to me, I traveled this year as the Diabetes Educator of the Year for the American Association of Diabetes Educators. And with all the travel, how do you get in physical activity?
Right.
And I love what you put together because the way to do it is really to embed it into what you're already doing. So if you're walking, walk a little longer. If you like to dance, dance in front of your mirror to some music that you enjoy. So just enjoy what you're doing and try to embed it into your daily life.
Yeah, that's a great question or a great comment. And you know, the first book was all about organizing, and you know, I still remember you talking about organizing the pantry and organizing your diabetes, your supplies and your test strips and all of that. So a lot of good points there. Could you remind our viewers, you know, what is your personal connection to diabetes, or how did you get started as a certified diabetes educator?
I've had a number of people in my family. I have a pretty big family. My mom is the youngest of 10. So I have a family of a lot of cousins, one sister, but a ton of cousins. And a number of my cousins have diabetes, both type 1 and type 2 diabetes. So since I was younger, it was always an interest of mine along with nutrition. But as my practice progressed in my younger years, I got to know more and more of my patients had diabetes or their family members had diabetes. So my interest in it just began to explode. And my interest in writing a book on it to help people getting more organized started to take hold. And that's kind of how I got into the book and into the subject of diabetes.
Yeah.
Well, Susan, let's talk about Diabetes 365 Tips for Living Well for a little bit. Was there one thing in particular that really inspired you to write this book?
So, yes, Courtland, there was. Especially after writing the Organizer book, I realized that I wanted to do more. I wanted to break it down even further. So with all the information, and even with the information about organization, putting things in small, usable tips that you can accomplish, that don't feel overwhelming to you, really came to mind. So my co-author and I, Paula Ford Martin and I, put together a spreadsheet of the 365 days a year. And after we filled in holidays or days that kind of stood out to us, whether it was St. Patrick's Day on March 17th or January 1st on January 1st, we realized how many different tidbits we can put in throughout the book to help people with diabetes. So that's how the tips were born. And each chapter starts out with a really short overview, and each tip is about, I don't know, 50 to 75 words of things you can actually do at the moment to help manage your diabetes just a little bit better every day.
So how do the two books differ? So one is organizing, the other is tips. I mean, there must be some crossover here a little bit, right?
You know what? Maybe a little bit in the fact that it's all about diabetes and how to help you get your diabetes better organized and better managed. But one is actually based on what I thought was needed after the other one was written. So not too much additional information, except maybe talking about, you were bringing up the pantry and the kitchen. I broke that into smaller tips, and I also added a number of things about mindful eating and about de-stressing and about sleeping better, and a lot of food tips. I brought up every month of what different fruits and vegetables are seasonably in different months, so that people can start to eat more of a rainbow of fresh fruits and vegetables, and doing it in something that's more local and more seasonal.
You know, you said something that caught my attention. You said you started putting together this spreadsheet. You started filling in the holidays. Now, I don't know about you, but every, December I'm thinking about what my New Year's resolution is going to be. And the thing I like about the book, that differs from my New Year's resolution, because it's very grandiose. And I probably get through the second week of January and the wheels fall off the bus. But the book is it's organized in a way, and it's bite-sized information, and it's actionable. Right?
Yes.
It's actionable information.
Yes.
And you don't have to reinvent yourself to take advantage of all those. You don't have to set this high, lofty New Year's resolution to take advantage of the information in the book.
You put that so beautifully, Dave. That's exactly right. So we talk about with New Year's resolutions, which, by the way, I do not believe in at all. Those goals are too vague. And what do we set as New Year's resolutions? We want to lose weight. We want to become healthier. We want to exercise more. We want to become financially more solvent. Those goals are so vague that they can be overwhelming. So by January 3rd, as you said, the wheels fall off the bus.
Right.
So although you may find one overall goal that you want to accomplish, like exercising more, I start out the tips book by talking about setting a SMART goal, S-M-A-R-T, SMART, something specific, something measurable, something action-oriented, realistic, okay, and timely. So instead of saying that you want to exercise more, take out your calendar for the week, specifically look what your agenda is, and say, on Tuesday and Thursday morning from 6 to 6:30 a.m., I can walk with my neighbor or my dog.
Right.
Okay, not your cat. I wouldn't put your cat on a leash, but with my dog. And specifically where you're going to do it. And you can't do it Wednesday morning because maybe that's a morning that doesn't work for you. So you're not overreaching it. You're making it a SMART goal. And then once that's accomplished, you can expand that goal. And goals are meant to be reevaluated several times a year. When you only put down a goal as a New Year's resolution, oh my goodness, there's another 364 days till that comes up again.
Right.
So looking at them and setting them as SMART goals is very actionable, and you feel so accomplished after you do it.
Right. And not only do you feel accomplished after you do it, you'll be more likely then to hit your other goals. You'll have a lot more self-confidence.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just losing 2 to 5% of your body weight can lead to such great health benefits. I put that as a tip in the book as well. There's no reason to set a huge weight loss goal. Small steps add up to big results.
Yes, they certainly do. So let's really dive into some of these tips that you have here, and especially, it's Thanksgiving week. So what are a couple of your favorite tips you have in this book for, diet and nutrition to stay on track during holiday times?
I believe a good part of the November chapter I did devote to Thanksgiving. I'm all about, and it's going back to the organizing book a little bit, I'm all about having a plan. And that doesn't mean to have an overly neurotic, strict plan at all, but I'm into having a plan because it takes some of the stress off of your choices. So if you do have diabetes, or someone in your family or one of your friends have diabetes, ask the host where you're going for Thanksgiving, what's on the menu. They'll be more than glad to share it with you so you can have a plan of what's going to be that day. You may need to count your carbohydrates a little bit differently depending on what the meal is going to be. So one of those tips is to definitely know what that Thanksgiving meal is going to encompass so that you can plan on what you're going to do. And my second big tip with that is portion control. Do you guys have favorite things that you like to eat on Thanksgiving at the meal?
Sure.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So we all have our favorites, and if you have diabetes, it doesn't mean you can't have that food. It means you need to plan for it and portion it. Can't have everything on the menu, or you're simply not going to feel well, whether you have diabetes or not, eating too much. So portion control is really important. Here's just one little well-known fact. We all eat about 92% of what's on our plate. So use a little bit of a smaller plate. You're still going to eat about 92% of it.
Yeah, that's a
Great
great
tip.
one. So we talked about sitting down at the Thanksgiving table, but Thanksgiving is one of the busiest travel holidays.
Yes.
And then we're going to come up on New Year's, and so there's going to be a lot of travel, a lot of family get-togethers. How can our viewers use this book to really outsmart diabetes? And with the travel, how can we begin to think about, or what tips do you have for those of us who are going to be maybe getting on an airplane and traveling to see family and friends?
If you are traveling by plane and you do have diabetes, make sure that all the supplies that you need are with you on your person. With you does not mean in the overhead bin where you can't get to it once you're strapped in and it's a bumpy flight. It's also a great idea to be very familiar with the TSA requirements. Look it up on the website or figure out what the TSA requirements are. Travel with a very specific letter from your doctor on your doctor's stationery that you do have diabetes and that some supplies are necessary to have on your person. And it doesn't mean even when you do these things that things always go super smoothly. Right. Be prepared that they may sometimes not go as smoothly as you would like, and have extra snacks with you, especially fast-acting sources of carbohydrate in case you actually have a low blood sugar reaction if you are taking insulin. Those are just a few of the tips that I do share, and there are many other really good ones in the book. And actually, in my Diabetes Organizer book, I devote a whole chapter to traveling well with diabetes. So please check that out as well. One other thing I wanted to include is if you are traveling across time zones, more than one time zone, make an appointment to have a discussion with your doctor and or certified diabetes educator to see how to adjust your medication, insulin, and food if you're traveling.
Those are great tips, and I love that you brought up knowing the TSA guidelines, because we did a show a few months ago with some representatives from the TSA talking all about their smart traveling program. So that's
very important. And there's also on the TSA website, there's a direct link to if you do have a disability that you can link into and refer to before you travel. Really important.
Yeah, they have a lot of great information out there for people. So going back to your book here, how do you best recommend that people incorporate these tips into their everyday lives? Like, should they, when they first wake up in the morning, open your book and see what's the tip for today and think about how they can incorporate that in the day?
Yes, that's a perfect idea. So because every day is listed in the book throughout the year, just one tip a day works really well. So you don't have to start have to wait. It's like starting a diet on Monday. You don't have to wait till January 1st to start following the tips in the book.
Right.
You can use the tip today. That's for that day. If you're interested in a different nutrition tip or a de-stressing tip or an exercise tip, or to learn more about what to do for a doctor's appointment, you can flip to that tip. We have it indexed in the back of the book. So if there is a topic that you're interested in, you can read that topic as you go along.
So when you were doing the research for the book, and you're a certified diabetes educator, so you probably see a wide range of individuals who are living with diabetes. Were there one or two or three things that you really wanted to solve when you were writing this book that maybe kind of would come up time and time again when you were working with patients?
Yes, one of them was what we just discussed about setting a SMART goal, which is the reason for the 1 tip a day. And the second thing that I really wanted to address was the kitchen. I'm a nutritionist, and I know I love to eat, and I love to eat healthy, but when you make a choice to eat something, I want it to be mindful. Eating things with intention to what you decide to eat, and eating things with attention when you are eating it. That was a really important piece for me with the tips book. So I put in a few mindful eating tips and then a few ideas about what you can do in your kitchen to stay mindful. And the third thing is to stay busy with your hands. That's one of my favorite tips too, because when you're watching TV or you're by your computer or you're working or you're on the phone, we tend to just do things with our hands that are not mindful, and that always means things going into your mouth. So instead, you can learn to knit, crochet, you can type on your computer, do things that are more positive, or you can exercise while you're doing those things also. You can lift weights while you're watching TV. So those were some great tips that I included as well.
You know, you make a good point about, keeping your hands busy. And we have a question that came in from one of our viewers. So Chris from Burlington, Vermont, he says, I have a smartphone, and he wants to know, can I get these tips on my smartphone or another electronic device?
Absolutely. The book is available to download by the Kindle on the Amazon site. You can get a hard copy of it, or you can get it in a Kindle form and look at it. And it's also on all the online stores. So you can certainly use, actually, a lot of my patients have a hard copy and a downloadable copy so they can refer to it.
Yeah, Chris, great question.
That
Thanks
was a
for turning
great
that in.
question.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, Susan, thinking about the amount of people who are living with diabetes in the U.S., and especially those with pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes, how can we try to better lead a path to health?
So pre-diabetes, I should say, if undiagnosed or not treated and not managed well, within 10 years will become type 2 diabetes. And I think that that's something that your viewers should be very aware of, because you'll go to your doctor, okay, and they'll say, oh, your numbers are trending up. Your hemoglobin A1C or your 3-month blood sugar average is trending up. It was trending up again last year. You gained 10 pounds. It's settling in your midsection. It's all this happening. And then what happens sometimes is people don't want to go back to their doctors to hear bad news.
Right.
They may skip an appointment, and then when you finally do go back, now you're diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. So a few things that we need to do are just overall good health. There's really no such thing specifically as a diabetic or diet or a diet specific to diabetes. It's a healthy way of eating.
Yeah.
So that what the tips will do is it's going to help you adopt healthier behaviors, which will lead to reducing your risk of developing pre-diabetes and type 2 diabetes. But in general, as a country, we need to move much more, eat more fresh fruits and vegetables, eat more lean protein, a lot more fiber, drink water, not juices and soda, and plan out our meals. Take some time for ourselves. And I also have to put in there, de-stressing. Yeah. We're very stressed out, and stress increases our hormonal imbalance and makes us not feel well.
Yeah, that's a real good point.
Yeah.
we're almost coming time for the end of the show. I want you to go back through this SMART again, because that's
Sure.
that's really
Of interest.
genius. And I think, I think you hit on a couple things here. One, eating right and exercising, it's a lifestyle, right? You're not going to change overnight. And so with these tips are kind of geared toward a lifestyle change, choosing to have a healthy lifestyle. But go through one more time what SMART stands for our viewers.
Absolutely, and I think that that's key, because if it's a vague goal, and with the holidays coming up, that's why the next year it's the same goal, because you didn't accomplish it, it wasn't broken down by organization, by tips, and by SMART goals. SMART, S-M-A-R-T, specific. So have a specific goal, like exercise. We'll just use that for example, being that was what you talked about at the top of the show. So the M stands for measurable. Not just I'm going to exercise more, but exactly how you're going to exercise more. I'm going to walk 30 minutes on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday mornings, and even make it very actionable. So I'm going to do it from 6 to 6:30 a.m. And also another action can be with a buddy, or with your headset on, or with your pet. Okay? And then R, it has to be relevant to you, to Dave, to Courtland, to Susan. If your doctor just tells you to exercise more, and I don't like that word tells, asks you to exercise more, you're less likely to embed it into your lifestyle. So it's relevant and timely. It has to work for you in the circumstance that you're currently in.
Yep. Courtland, I'm going to give you the opportunity for the very last question.
Okay, well, Susan, we're very excited to hear, what are your future plans?
So this year was amazing, traveling the country as Diabetes Educator of the Year. And it got me into thinking a lot more about mindfulness for myself, mindfulness for my colleagues and my peers, and mindfulness for my patients in getting healthier. So I'm speaking a lot more about mindful nutrition. I'm going to be working on an app around mindful nutrition and eating healthier. And then my other goals are that I am on the board of a number of diabetes organizations to help people with diabetes lead healthier lives. So I have a lot coming up.
Yeah.
It really sounds like it. I thought
Yes.
we were busy, but you're in overdrive
Yes.
here, and I can't wait to see this app. So I'm going to invite you back when you
Great.
doing some of this work, and share with our viewers at home all the great things that you're working on. So thanks so much again for coming in.
It was my pleasure, and have wonderful Thanksgiving and wonderful holidays.
Thank you. I'd like to thank our viewers for tuning in, and I'd like to thank our sponsors for making this all possible. Remember, all of our episodes can be found on demand at healthyo360.com, and our podcast can be found in the iTunes store. Well, Courtland, I know you are a fan of social media, so what do we have?
Well, we are all over Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. We use the hashtag #RealStories when we post, and we would very much appreciate it if you would do the same. On behalf of Dave Duplay, myself, and the entire Healthyo360 family, we hope you have a great day, a fun, healthy, and safe Thanksgiving, and we look forward to seeing you again next week when we'll be speaking with Dr. Flaherty about melanoma and targeted cancer therapies.